Hello everyone and welcome to a new series. I hope to be continuing on this channel, this poor channel that has been laying dormant for God knows how many years. This is Afterburner, so this is basically the idea with this in-depth series is that I play a game and give post-commentary, meaning I'm talking over my recorded footage, and just kind of give you guys a more in-depth idea, I guess, as to what I think about the game I'm playing. So, as you guys can see, we are playing Afterburner, and this is an old arcade game. I should have this information in front of me, like a prepared individual would, but I do not. It was an old arcade game. I want to say it was released sometime in the 80s. That sounds about right. That was eventually ported to the Master System, which is the version we are playing now. And I believe this was released in 1988. And I'm basing that off of the copyright on the back of the case I have, but regardless, as you can see, Afterburner is a game where you play as a fighter jet, and have at it. Shoot things with your Vulcan cannon. Knock things out of the air with your missiles, and you go for, in this version, 18 levels. Every 6 levels there's a boss. No checkpoints, 3 lives. That's all you got. So what you're seeing here, this is my first recording, and this was all blind, by the way. And you'll notice as we go throughout that my skill will... The level of play increases as the video goes out, because I edited out a lot of deaths, just so we wouldn't be repeating the first level over and over again. I want to say it took me about 3 tries to get through the first level. Probably more than that, but regardless. So it's just classic arcade fun, Like I said, it was an arcade game ported to the Master System, and I want to start off by saying that there's an interesting distinction we can make about arcade ports these days, or rather, compared to arcade ports back in the 80s and 90s. Because I haven't played the arcade version of Afterburner, nor have I actually seen any footage of it. But I want to just say on a whim that this is rather faithful. Considering that it's just, it's difficult. As most arcade games were. But back then, home console gaming was so new. It was the distinction between coin ops and home consoles. There was still a divide to be made there. So they just kind of ported the arcade game and said, "Hey, good luck." But anyway, so in this version, like I mentioned earlier, there are 18 levels. I'm going to spoil this now for this one video. I did not make it all the way to level 18. This is across 3 different recordings, and I just made it up to, I think, level 8. And I was okay with stopping it that early for this video. Because really, by the time you beat level 6, you've seen everything the game has to offer. You have all these different planes coming at you. They shoot missiles. On occasion, they will run into you, just like that. Like you saw there, that was well timed. And those are your 2 means of death. Like I mentioned, there is a boss every 6 stages, but the boss is the same thing. Maybe a different color, maybe moves faster, maybe fires more projectiles. But it's essentially the same thing. So, I didn't feel like it was necessary going all the way up to level 18. And again, holy crap, getting all the way up to level 18 is difficult. Like I said, I have 3 different recordings, all in this one video. Altogether is about 80 minutes of footage. And a lot of it was edited out, as you can see, because the video is only 20 minutes long. So anyway, just to kind of cover a few bases of things I like about this game. There is, if you take a look at the gameplay, you notice like when I move left and right, or when I'm hitting left and right on the D-pad, that the screen kind of rotates. And I want to say I read somewhere that Afterburner was one of the first games to sort of do a rotating mechanic like that. So in that aspect, this game is very innovative for its time and mechanically impressive. And the first time I played this, I was like, "Oh my god, I don't know what's going on," because the screen kind of flips so erratically. It's a little, it is a little easy to lose yourself in a lot of scenarios. I couldn't count the number of times I was flipping the screen to shoot an enemy and completely, because of the way the screen moves, just didn't see a missile and ended up dying to it. But it's an interesting mechanic again, especially for the Master System, and it'll take some getting used to because, like I said, the screen flip is a little erratic. But once you kind of get used to it, it becomes pretty fun to just maneuver your way around missiles and shooting down all the different aircraft in this game. It's very exhilarating, honestly. That being said, like I mentioned before, you just have to kind of get used to the control scheme because it's a bit of a barrier to get over. But once you get used to it, like I said, this game becomes incredibly exhilarating to just kind of play through. And one thing you've probably noticed at this point is that every stage has kind of its own, I guess, color theme, different terrain. So the first stage started over like the ocean as you flew off of the naval carrier, and then it hits I guess a forest or a grassland at sundown, and then it transitions to nighttime. And I guess stage 4 is back over the ocean. But anyway, each stage does have a different sort of set piece. So visually, the game changes it up each stage, keeps things from just feeling like you're just flying over an endless droning ocean, which is, I think it's a nice touch. It's a small thing, but I do really enjoy that about the game. Also adds like a sense of progression as well, which is always nice for, even if you do know that there are like 18 levels in this game, even if you do know that, like, just having a sense of progression, just in general, it's a nice feeling. Another thing I notice off of this is I really do enjoy the sound quality in this game, or the sound design. Explosions are incredibly satisfying, and it's something that sticks out. If you hear that sound effect, something something died, which I think is important for a game like this, because like I mentioned, like it's very easy to lose yourself. Just kind of lose yourself in just all the action, or you might tilt the screen one way, and an enemy may no longer be visible, or an enemy may fly off screen, but your missile will still chase after them. Having that little sound effect be as distinct as it is, lets you know that you hit something. And on top of that, the music is pretty good too. There aren't a lot of tracks in this game, but the track we're listening to right now, which plays for the first 6 stages, it's a nice upbeat track. Kind of keeps you in the video game nature of Afterburner, which I don't know, is probably a weird thing to say, but I as a kid, I practically grew up with the 6th generation. So I was still relatively young when the 7th generation came around, and that's when everyone's trying to get all gritty and realistic. Well, you could argue that with the 6th generation as well, but More so with the 7th generation, they try to get all gritty and realistic with this kind of stuff. So I feel I feel like there's a distinction to be made, you know. Because back then, yeah, this game was kind of sort of realistic, but I mean, they still had music to sort of emphasize the video game nature. And every time you defeat a boss, the song changes. And I gotta say, the music track that plays for stages 7 through 12, I do like that one a lot. So anyway, you may have seen when I got that game over there, I sort of just kind of continued. There wasn't a fade out that time. So let's kind of get into how lives and continues work in this game. So, like I mentioned, when you start the game, you have 3 lives, and once you lose all 3 lives, it's a game over. You actually have 3 continues in this game. Nothing about the game tells you that. It might, maybe it's in the manual, I don't know, I don't actually have the manual for my copy. But nothing in the game actually tells you that you have continues. And how you use a continue is once you get a game over, you just hit the 1 and 2 button at the same time, and you will continue from right there. That being said, continues also have this weird property in this game. Like I said, you only have 3 of them, and you can't get any more. So once you use all 3, obviously you can't use any more, but once you get past level 8, you can't use continues, period. So even if you haven't used your 3 continues, when you pass level 8, just no continues, period. Which is weird. I'm not entirely sure what the reasoning was behind such a decision, or maybe it's a bug, maybe? I'm not sure, but it is weird. But with that said, this being an old game released in the 80s, there is actually a cheat code where you can have unlimited continues, and it works all the way up until the last level. And that cheat code is achieved by pressing the pause button, which, let me remind you, is on the console itself, on the Master System console itself. You have to push the pause button 100 times. And then start the game, and then you have unlimited continues. Strangely enough, I attempted, I want to say at least 5 different times to use that cheat code, but I couldn't get it to work. Hence why we're not going to level 18 for this video. Had I gotten it to work, I would have totally gone up to level 18, but yeah, for some reason I couldn't get it to work. I don't know if just by some chance I just didn't hit it 100 times, 5 times in a row, or if there's some other, you know, parameter that I'm missing, but everything I read online just said to hit it 100 times and then start the game. So I don't know. If any of you guys can figure it out, or if any of you guys know potentially what I'm doing wrong there, definitely let me know in the comments below. And if I ever figure it out, we'll see the rest of the levels that we didn't see. This is that music track I was talking about. I actually really like this track. But going back to continues, if you lose all 3 of your lives and get a game over, but you use a continue, it will actually reset your score. So that's sort of, and again, I don't have the manual, I don't have any way to confirm this, and I haven't looked it up any. But it sort of, to me, kind of spells that they were just trying to kind of keep that feature hidden, maybe? I'm not really sure. Maybe it was just a way for the developers to sort of check the rest of the game. Like I said, I'm not sure, but regardless, it is something that is there, and if you plan on playing this game, especially if you want to try to get as far as you can, that is definitely a good thing to know. But yeah, like I said, this is stage 7. You guys saw the boss there. Didn't really give a chance to kind of talk about what was going on there. So with the boss is this giant Harrier airship type thing, and it has 3 weak spots on the back side of it. And those 3 weak spots are only vulnerable to missiles. Your Vulcan cannon won't do anything. And it's also the only time in the game where hitting left and right won't actually tilt your plane, but instead you'll actually travel left and right. So, you know, all of a sudden it like sort of switches up the controls on you, which is a little weird, but, you know, once you realize that that's what happens, you know, you can kind of go into it a little better. Alright, so you see there, I just got a game over on stage 8. That's about where I stopped, but I did want to show this little tidbit off. And I have this fast-forwarded because, quite honestly, this footage is rather boring and we're repeating levels. This is another quick little trick that I found online after doing some research. If you hold up and move into one of the corners, so basically up and left or up and right, you can actually avoid basically everything up to like stage 12. Obviously this won't work on the boss, considering the different control scheme and just the number of missiles it fires in the first place, but yeah, as you can see, just holding up into the corners and holding down the shoot button for your Vulcan cannon, yeah, you can get through a very large portion of this game. A very, very large portion of this game. Like I said, I have the footage fast-forwarded because repeating levels, and I'm pretty sure, you know, you don't want to see any more of this than you would necessarily have to. That being said, I do make it all the way to stage 12 with this. In fact, the rest of the video is going to be just this. So for those of you that are going to tune out early, that is essentially Afterburner on the Master System. Again, I didn't want to go all the way to stage 16 because, or 18, I mean, just because, like I said, once you get past stage 6, you've basically seen everything the game has to offer. You play through 3 levels, shoot down stuff, dodge missiles. You have that refueling plane that comes down. You play another 3 levels, shooting stuff down, dodging missiles. Challenge a boss, watch a little cutscene of your plane landing and then taking off again. And then, you know, rather rinse repeat for another 6 levels up until you get to level 18 with, you know, with the difficulty increasing. So that's why I really didn't go that far, but you know, all around, fun game. Sorry, I sort of just had a brain fart for a second there, but all around a really fun game. You know, there's something beautiful about challenging a difficult game or playing a difficult game and slowly getting better at it. It's why I like Mega Man so much. Is that like at first, like you're just losing and you're losing lives and dying repeatedly. But the more and more you play the game, the better and better you get at it. As you probably saw with me playing levels like 5 through 8, you know, I was playing at a much higher level at that point. Once I'd finally, you know, just play the game more and more. And I'm sure with enough dedication I could make it to the end of the game, but you know, be that as it may. Yep, still going. This is level 9 right here. So using this strategy, we've officially made it farther than I could playing the game normally. So like I said, the rest of the video is just this until I eventually die. Back down at level 12. What do you guys think of Afterburner? You know, do you guys have anything that you guys really like about this game, or anything that stands out particular? Did you play this game as a kid? Maybe have a lot of nostalgia for it. For me, I have this game in my collection. I randomly picked it. You know, I've got a lot of games, so I just decided for this video subject I'd randomly pick a game, and I'm glad it gave me Afterburner. It took me a couple minutes to acclimatize myself to, you know, just the overall control scheme. But you know, once I understood it, it became a lot of fun. Like I said, there is something to be said about when a game is able to, you know, be difficult and kick your ass, but also, you know, keep you coming back and be so well designed that each time you come back, you're just a little bit better. So those are kind of my overall thoughts. Spread throughout this this 20-minute video. I hope you guys enjoyed, and oh, there we go. There it is. That is when it officially stops working. And, you know, if you use a trick like that, then you're not prepared for, you know, the level you haven't acclimatized yourself. And unfortunately, this is one of those times I couldn't get that code to work, so it didn't have any continues. But with that being said, ladies and gentlemen, that is Afterburner. Those are my thoughts. Like I said, leave your cots. Wow. It's late. It's midnight. It's 12:11. With that being said, leave your thoughts in the comments down below. We'll keep the conversation going. And, you know, hopefully I'll be able to talk over more games like this in the future. And I'll see you guys later in another video. Have a good one.